pledge.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We come to you sorrow in our hearts as we know that several of our communities have lost dear loved ones that mean a lot. We lift up the Holmes family. We lift up the Walker family. We know that they leave big holes to fill. And we just ask for your peace and comfort around their families as they do. Lord, as we come to you today, we come to you also thankful. Thankful for the blessings that you bestow upon us, that we live here in Liberty County. Thankful for the hardworking people that love our children and take such great care of nurturing their education and just providing love and just everything that they need on a daily basis. Lord, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom. And we ask mostly that you keep our children safe until they're back home, Lord. And we thank you. In your name we pray. Amen. Address the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additional corrections to the agenda?
Corrections, Mr. Chairman, on the addition to
Just, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to item H. Mr. Davis is at a meeting right now learning about this. I'm going to tell you a little bit what I know, and then we're going to actually bring this presentation back to you.
Sure. Any other questions or?
Move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item D, we'd like to welcome all visitors. We have a full house this morning. This will be a time for public comment if someone wanted to address the meeting.
I'm a little worried, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering who's feeding our students.
Yes. Y'all set the microwaves out the game today. All right. Thanks for everyone being here. Item E will be our STEAM update presentation. Good morning.
Good morning. In January, we went on a visit to Santa Rosa District schools where...
Being in a favor really has changed my
Sorry.
mind.
Okay. Because we're doing STEAM at Wilson Elementary with the Duke Energy grant that you guys are well aware of. And so we went up there to see how they implemented STEAM throughout their whole district and see what we could bring back to our county and see how we can implement that as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we saw and show you a little bit about, talk a little bit about it and answer any questions you might have. All right, so they branded their STEAM concept and they call it Innovate. And so this is what they did with their STEAM program, and they are in year 5 and all schools are involved now. So I'm going to show you this quick video on it so you can get an idea of what it is and hear from the teachers of their district and then talk a little bit about the logistics.
Being an innovator really has changed my teaching in a big way.
I know that has been the best thing for me as a teacher. We're not even done with the school year and I'm on fire. I'm so passionate about what I'm doing right now.
And when teachers are excited about the content that they are teaching, the kids can't help but to jump on that same bandwagon.
They get into it hands-on.
It's a powerful experience to see.
You're having fun while you're learning.
They are on fire over us. So you kind of can't say better than that because the product sells itself.
It's totally worth it. If they could see the end result and see the difference that the kids have made and how far they have come.
These students, the growth that I've seen within them has been incredible.
It's all because a teacher has lit a fire under them. And that innovation there, of course, has changed the way that student is learning.
She's not spoon feeding us information. Like, we're trying to find out more on our own. We all work together. There's no leader or anything. We each give an idea, and whichever idea is the best, we usually use it. We have to come to a general consensus.
If you can get them and capture them and say there's a reason we're doing this, then I think that's what makes a difference, and I think that's what innovates up here.
All right, go ahead and get into your groups and I'll pass out your supplies. If you have an idea that you want to try in your classroom, you try it and you have the backing of your admin.
It's really a different style of learning. They love being involved, they love working.
I'm sure you can help me.
All right, so sorry that went out there, but I can't talk to it. Okay, so what does STEAM entail? So in year one, they had all elementary schools on board. Now, it doesn't mean that there is, every teacher at every school is trained. So they have these innovators that they select. It's an application process where the teachers apply and the principal chooses the final innovators. And those are the lead teachers at the school that get all the training and help to implement the STEAM strategies in their school. And so they're the liaison between the teachers, the admin, and all the STEAM activities that are going on in place. In year two, they brought in middle school, and then in year three, they brought in the high schools. And so that's supposed to say 6 teachers, by the way, next to multi-level schools, because they do have a few multi-level schools. So there was only so many teachers they had per school, and the reason for that was they have, the teachers are supplied with a lot of professional development, and they also are supplied with some financial backing for it. So one of the things that, when it comes to how it was implemented, there was PD for all the innovators, and it was led with a partnership with Discovery Education. So they couldn't do all this PD was not in-house. They brought in Discovery Ed, who worked closely with them. Their PDs are focused on teacher leadership and the culture of the classroom at first, before they dig into the instruction. There's 5 sessions of PDA throughout the year that's in the classroom, and then it's embedded in the instruction. So Discovery Ed partners with the classroom teachers. They come into the classroom, help with observations, co-teaching, and teaching and planning sessions as well. So Discovery Ed had a real big partnership with them, not only with the PD, but also working in the classrooms with the teachers. The school district provided each innovator with $1,000 a year to buy materials for their classroom. And they gave them no restrictions on that. They said, you use it to what you see fit. So they might buy flexible seating, they might buy, for their students, they may have bought materials for some of the projects they were using. They might have bought technology, so some of the innovators' classrooms looked a little different than the other classrooms because they had different technology that they bought with some of that money. And the cost of the Discovery Education came from the Title I budget from the schools. So 80% of the teachers were on board with the STEAM culture in the schools, and they're getting there. I mean, even though it's all throughout the whole district, they only have 80% about it in their schools, but they feel like that culture is definitely represented in all schools. You guys speak up if you miss anything. By the way, I went, Ricky Richardson is a science teacher at my school, and she went as well to look at the teacher's perspective. Josh Schlunt, the principal at Wilsondale High School, went as well, so that we could look at how the impact we have in middle and high. And Emily, my assistant principal, went and because she works closely with the science cadre, and she's been the leader with the STEAM implementation at our school. So what do those innovators do? They attend the PD, they're teacher-led in the school and district, the teacher leader. They allow teachers to observe in their classrooms, so they have to have an open door policy. They help organize STEAM nights for families, and they lead professional development for their school. And we'll get back into the STEAM nights for families, but they provide instruction in the classroom, and there's basically focuses around 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. And they've added more C's along as they've gone, with this, with the implementation of STEAM. But those are the 4 areas that they really focus on for the culture of STEAM. So they have a yearly plan, and every year they have professional development. They launch with a keynote speaker. They make a theme for the year. They have community of supporters and innovators, and that's a real nice tight partnership throughout the other schools, because they have one another to bounce ideas off of, and it's like a cadre that they can utilize one another. And then after the 5 years, that's it. There's no more training involved. Everybody's trained up. Sometimes they may lose an innovator here or there. Somebody might move, and then they bring in another innovator, and they don't start from day one with that innovator, like year 1. They just absorb that innovator, and the cadre brings them up to speed on what they've been doing. They have STEAM parent nights, and some school communities rally together for one large STEAM night. So, for instance, if there was a community like Williston that was having STEAM nights, all the schools would be involved in it, not just individual schools. So it was more of a community type event. And then they include businesses in that, and they host it once a year. One thing they were doing new this year was they were having a girls' STEAM night, because they wanted to get more girls involved in STEAM and the math and engineering parts of it, and technology, because they were seeing less involvement by females. The other thing they do is they have a summer camp. It's a week program, and it's paid for by the schools. That was my little tidbit in there, but maybe we could have scholarships from the foundation if we didn't want something like that, or even have kids pay themselves. But it was a summer camp where the teachers taught a STEAM unit, and the kids came for a full day of instruction, but it was more of a lot hands-on and exploratory learning through the technology and sciences. So what did it look like in the elementary schools and some of the middle schools is how it differed from school to school. So in elementary schools, it was a culture within the schools for all teachers to apply. So it wasn't more of you saw it in pockets of just these classrooms. There was a school-wide culture of how it should, what we should be doing in those classrooms. And you can speak to
And that's what I was
what
going to
they
say, is at the elementary level, they rebranded STEAM to be students and teachers engaged in active minds. So when they walked us around the school, we weren't just walking into math and science classrooms. We also saw a lot of these techniques implemented in the ELA and social studies areas.
Right. It was very college and career focused. There was a lot of small group and student-led learning. They were tying all their standards and units into real-world problems and college and career majors, making that connection with the kids. And it was embedded in all the instruction, and it included project-based learning. One of the nice things about visiting Santa Rosa too is they said that when people come to visit, they just pick the next 3 schools on the list. They don't say these are our top, STEAM schools. They just rotate. And we actually, from the video, we saw a lot of those teachers when we went and toured the schools. But
and like the common theme, I think, when we went in most classes was that the teacher was somewhere in the midst of what was going on, and the kids were really kind of leading the learning, which is what we always were trying to push for. So almost every classroom that we had, it was kind of in that setup, and the kids were very active and being able to tell you what they were doing, and the teacher was more of a facilitator.
we took some pictures of some things that we liked in there. We had, and this was in the elementary, I believe. They would speak the math. They had a lot of vocabulary there where the kids could reference that, so that they were using appropriate vocabulary. One of the things, they have common assessments, and you see the track the success and the learning goals. And the teacher would put the standard up there, and the kids' class average, and that way when the kids got their scores, they could see where they fell within their peers. So it was a motivator and goal setting for them. These are just some activities we saw kids working on. There were the 4 C's. This on the right was kind of like a checklist of rotations of what they were doing each sector when they went around, and that was at the middle school. There was a lot of collaborative learning that we saw going on there. There wasn't a lot of teacher-directed instruction. At the middle and high school, it's taught, it looks different. So again, middle was a lot of culture, but then also how do they implement it in their schedules and stuff? Had to do with, it was taught through science, math, social studies, and electives. It ties to career connections lesson. They partner with local colleges and tech programs to get students certified. They track their success with semester and test averages posted, like I showed you, and local businesses reaching out to hire newly graduated students because of the STEAM program. So they look at those students in particular. One of the things that we found was interesting is one of the local companies in the area had a problem, and they took that to the students as a challenge to help them solve. So they had a problem with people at their company getting hit when in the parking lot because of the structure of the parking lot. And so they posed the problem to the kids: how can we make our parking lot safer with the driving patterns and so on and so forth? And the kids came up, they presented to the company, and the company gave them an award and actually adopted the program. So it was really a cool way to embed the community in with the learning of the kids. Some of the examples, this was at a high school, and this was their, this was their video production. So the kids were on the other side of the classroom actually doing, they were coding for Minecraft. And then over here, this was a whole area that they put a lot of funding into, I will say though, where they had digital printing, a lot of 3D printers there for the kids, and honestly, there was one student that managed this whole thing for the school class. So he was in charge of making sure everything was running smoothly. The teacher had trained him up, and so the teacher didn't have anything to do with it. He was the one that led that. One of the neat things, there was Mr. Schlunt playing with a robot that they had made from, I think that was off the 3D printer.
Yeah, they made the parts from the 3D printer and did the electronics.
Right. And then to the left, what I thought was pretty interesting is they had a student at a school that was nonverbal, and he had a hard time pressing the buttons on his communication device because his hand would slip, so he picked the wrong thing. So they posed that problem to the class, and the class came up with, they created this template piece, plastic piece that went over his communication device so that he had boundaries, and so it was a really great way to problem solve for that student and help one another.
And that student was like at the elementary school level, and they brought the problem to the high school, and the high school student solved it for them, so that's really neat.
They have makerspace challenges. Was that in the media center?
That was in the media center at the middle school. So in the morning, the middle school students could choose to go into the library and do a makerspace challenge. She said sometimes it would be like a week-long challenge. They had to build a theme park or an amusement park, and sometimes it was just like a day that they would take and build. She said it cut down a lot on the kind of loitering around the classrooms in the morning, and it gave the kids a chance to do something that they were engaged with, that they considered fun, but was actually kind of challenging them to solve some problems.
So what was the main theme in each school? And being that we started Avid this year, and you guys heard about that. And obviously there's Avid over at Wilson Middle High School. This looks just like Avid, but embedded throughout the school with a STEAM focus. So there was not much of this was much different from Avid, except you had a lot more some more technology and math focus. It's college and career focused. Their collaborative work is the same like Avid, project-based learning, student discussion, goal setting. It very much mirrored a lot of the strategies that we have been embedding based on our Avid training and implementation. So if you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
So was there any stipend for the innovators? So,
No.
Or so it's just the 1,000 for materials and 1,000 for subs?
Right. That's it.
But the professional development was intense. They had 4 days throughout the year, and then they had coaching 4 days from experts from Discovery Ed that would actually come into their classroom and coach them through the different pieces.
And Discovery Education is not cheap, but it's built into the Title I.
I'm not gonna lie, it cost them about, well, their school, it's obviously different per school, but on average, their schools were $28,000 a year that they had to earmark out of their Title I budget.
Well, just in the 2,000, if we implemented that for 5 years, that's what I'm coming up with, $480,000 for us to implement.
So that was the money, that was just the money that the board had committed to this project. And then they had to have a commitment from obviously their principals to be able to say this is our district focus and we need to put that money into Discovery Ed.
So question, seeing as how you have Avid, if your choice was one or the other,
Avid.
Yeah, I mean, but it's different too, you know?
It's different.
When you're looking at middle high, you're looking at an elective course, which this would be similar, but at the same time, you're also, when you look at Avid, if you look at our Avid teachers, they're your highly effective teachers. And the reason why is because of their ED and being on board with that and just those best practices that are boxed into that Avid. And this is similar. So it's basically creating a PD force, professional development, self-contained group of teachers again, but it would just be an expansion.
And I think with Avid, we have a little bit less, there's less PD in Avid. So you have your Summer Institute in Avid and you have some pathways training, but you really have to build your capacity within your school, especially at the elementary level. I can only speak to that. And then, but I guess the shift that could have to happen to be similar to this, when it comes to Avid, aside from electives, is to have more of a culture mindset at the middle of schools.
What's important is not buying a program and building a culture.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And so,
That's what it says.
they recognize the attributes of Avid, advancement via individual determination, because of what they're doing. But they're not doing Avid.
Right.
Okay? But it's the culture that they've built here. And some of the things I just want to point out to you, I watched a presentation from Tim, who was the superintendent who was on there about a year and a half ago. And some of the things that piqued my interest, number one, is the highly engaged teachers and the people that are wanting to, there are folks sneaking into the classroom to learn and come and visit. And so that, to me, number one, is it's a good recruitment tool to support our teachers. You see how excited they are. Okay? Second, all of those kids, and what she talked about here, we have an evaluation instrument, the Danielson instrument. The Kumbaya here, the greatest thing to get to is the domain 4, the level 4, where the kids are taking responsibility for the learning and they're actually doing the teaching of other kids in the classroom. That is it, and that's what goes on the line. And so that's what's attractive to this and what attractive to the conversation and to do this project and to send them to Santa Rosa.
And I will say there's opportunities for blending and maybe incorporating some of these ideas, especially at the elementary level. We this year have been fortunate that we've been using Levy Education Foundation's fund for our STEAM projects at our school. And our first STEAM night was based on, before we even knew about this, they built a town. And it was, each group in the class had different projects. They had to build a bridge for Cedar Key or a bell tower for Williston. And so it was simple material, straws, paper towel holders, those types of things, but the students had a budget and they had to purchase certain items based on that budget. And then they had to build the best that they could. There was a lot of technology involved. The students filmed it. They gave critiques to each other about how they could build it better next time. But it was the best parent turnout we've had since I can remember, because the students came back that Thursday night with their parents and they showed off what they had built and then built new projects to go with it. They also had their videos to show their parents on their Chromebooks. So it kind of incorporated in a lot of that science and technology and engineering and math. And we've had a lot of innovative teachers that have been implementing that from 5th grade specifically, because that's our access to year for 5th grade. Actually, this week right now, they're doing a STEAM unit on the planets, which we know is one of our, Earth and Space is one of our lowest scoring areas for Williston now, so we knew we needed to do something up in that area. And they have paper mache, scale-size planets, and they're working on the revolution, rotation, Earth's axis, those types of things. So not just reading about it in a book, because it's a very abstract concept for 5th graders to understand, but they are creating it, videoing it, and they're sharing it with each other. So there's absolutely opportunities for Avid and the STEAM, the way it's been branded, to incorporate it.
Avid tends to have a lot of focus, especially at the elementary, on literature, and they're starting to embed more math, so that we're going to take advantage of that and technology. But seeing the two together, we can see how powerful that could be in a school.
And it's the content-specific training that we also got. I mean, to have basically scientists come into our classroom and share how to do things in the most effective way would be huge. And I mean, we're leading each other in 5th grade and with Emily's help, and we're pulling every resource we can, and we're spending a lot of our personal time and hours after school trying to get this together and being effective. And it has proven raised our scores 20 points last year. And I think that one of the huge reasons was because of all of our project-based learning that we did. We started every unit with a science experiment, a full science experiment. We ended every unit with a full science experiment. Everything we did was hands-on so that they could have a tangible process to tie back those standards to, and I think that it really affected their scores, but we're just one grade level at one school. So this was kind of trying to bring that idea to the whole district and bringing up Lee County as a whole.
And what's really amazing about what they're doing is it is teacher-led. They're volunteering their hours, they're gathering these materials. It is completely teacher-driven, and they're excited to implement these lessons with their students.
I'm so excited about this. I'm a big STEAM believer. I was very involved in a STEAM school that started out as a, we're going to adopt a STEAM program, and I saw it turn into, we are a STEAM school. The culture caught fire. And it was just to sit in a classroom and see a teacher put a problem or something in the classroom and say, okay, Tatum, tell me how you came up with this. So-and-so, tell me. And have the kids involved. And there's no right or wrong answer, and the whole project-based learning, it's unbelievable. I'm a big supporter of STEAM.
I think the big concept is to make sure that people know that it needs to be blended across all disciplines and not just isolated to science and math. But we need to make sure that we're broadening that to our ELA and social studies learning as well.
And it leads into so much. It leads into robotics clubs, video production. I mean, it just...
Just the 21st century skills, the problem
Yes,
solving, the
yes.
coming up with their own solutions,
Right.
it transcends everything.
Right.
And also building another group of teachers, teacher leaders
Right.
that are running professional development, that gets a fresh face on things, because we've got the same people doing stuff, and it's hard sometimes. Yeah, so this would be, that's what I saw as exciting, was that, this new spin on this, getting some fresh faces, and then not only, you're getting double dipping with that PD. They're providing the PD to these individuals, but then we can pass it on, in our professional development days and maximize the investment.
Absolutely.
And with that $1,000, like at our school, if we had that, like I wouldn't take that for myself. Like I would provide the materials for the whole grade level, and you could do that, one teacher per grade level, and then that $1,000 could go for the whole, everything that everyone needed. I wouldn't just spend it on, my classroom.
Go, and they're excited they're able to have that experience.
Towards the end of the year, we represent the foundation to let them know how well their dollars are spent. So
Would love to show off the videos the students have made.
wonderful thing. So, and then I know this usually isn't the time, but Ms. Hancock, would you like to tell us about what your daughter did, how she did that state grade?
Nothing like embarrassing me. She was champions of champions for junior division beef cattle.
Congratulations, great job, so, and Ms. Ricky, I'd just like you to know, so Matthew did a wonderful job.
I need to talk to you about that after that. I came home last night and he said some things, I'm like,
Yeah.
Just a follow-up, and if you can kind of look behind them, and like work with the strategic plan, as we're working, this is the goal for the district. That's where we have the conversation, that this is something the district values and board values, that we need to be able to do.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Item F, Ms. Lake, we have to meet the calculation vote date.
I'm not sure how I'll follow that. I'm definitely not as excited as
Come on now, you got it.
trying to make it mean.
Thank you all for coming.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm selected, so we have some people out there that ought to introduce themselves, so that are here today.
Yes. Our awesome students.
Go ahead and stand up. Some of you are returners, so you didn't get it right first time, so we'll go back a second.
I'm in David, I'm from the short class. It was awesome from the short class. Mr. Butcher from the short class.
We're sure glad you ladies are here today, so good job.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
another one. Wasn't sure if you wanted it or not.
Thank you.
All right, while that's warming up, I'll just go ahead and start talking about the first page in your handout. Okay, so I wanted to talk about all these dates and these different surveys, just to talk about what data informs the changes between our calculations. Because, as you notice, the FEFP calculations, the revenue is constantly changing. And one of those reasons is 4 surveys provide the data sources for each calculation, and those are based on FTE counts. And there is a 5th that trues up the 4 surveys in the following fiscal year, survey 5. We see that the second calculation, which is used to build the budget, is based on projections of surveys 1 through 4. Those projections are based on the FTE forecast that we submit, Morgan and I submit every January, which projects the FTE for the upcoming school year. For example, the second calculation for this fiscal year used projected FTE data that we submitted in January 2018, and that's what builds our original budget. The third calculation uses actual FTE counts for surveys 1 and 2, projections for surveys 3 and 4, again from that forecast that we submitted in January 2018. And then, of course, like I said, survey 5 is used to true up any adjustments for the prior year and is based on actual FTE counts for all 4 surveys. And this is important because the changes in the third calculation, or in this case, the reduction in the FEFP, is most likely not the final decrease we will see this year. We could see a further reduction in funding this time next year based on actual counts for surveys 3 and 4, which comes in the form of a prior year adjustment. Is there any questions about this?
So basically, in January of 2018, when we looked into our crystal ball and tried to project, so our enrollment, then we took it in October.
Correct. And I'll go through that in a little bit and show you where that forecast was. We were projecting down. We get models given to us from DOE, and we have to choose the best model at that time, and with that information, we felt we were conservative, but we actually fall a little bit further than we thought. Okay, so let's take a look, pages 2 and 3, let's take a look at the second calculation, the change between the second calculation and the third calculation. So we're showing a reduction in weighted funded FTE of 39.77. However, as I said, this might not be the extent of the reduction in FTE for this year. Also note, I said weighted funded, which is different than enrollments or unweighted. If you look at enrollment numbers for January 2019, we see a reduction of 128 students when compared to last January. So what does this mean in terms of loss of funding? For historicals, our flexible spending has been reduced by almost 189,000. So that reduction will come in smaller payments of FEFP through the end of the year. It's important to note that this decrease in FEFP is in addition to the decrease we saw in the final calculation for 17-18. Okay, so why is this important? That's important because between the end of 17-18 and now, we have actually lost almost $241,000 in FEIT and flexible spending. And that's important because that equals roughly 4 instructional units, just to give you some perspective, and flexible dollars are used primarily for salaries. Now looking at categorical allocations, we see a decrease of close to $85,000, with the largest coming in a reduction of transportation, which makes sense since we have a reduction in FTE. We have a prior year adjustment, another loss of $3,600. We have the McKay Scholarship costs, or reduction in revenues of almost $517,000. And on the second page, you see a reduction in class size reduction of $22,000, for a total funding reduction of close to $238,000, not including McKay.
When you say a reduction on McKay,
The money doesn't actually flow through, that's just, if those students had been with us, we would have had an additional $517,000. But it's not, I always forecast it.
but it's less than what we were.
Yes, and it's actually less than what I forecasted, which was good.
Right, that's a positive.
So again, that a total reduction of $238,000 does not include the $52,000 decrease in funding that we saw for 17-18. So when combined, we're down roughly $290,000. So now let's just talk for a minute about this forecast we just submitted for the next school year, and that's on the next page of the handout. So when we've submitted a 19-20 forecast for 5,416.84 FTE. So when we look at the third calculation and where we ended in fiscal year 17-18, we're down 78.05. When we look at the third calculation and compare it to what we forecasted for 18-19, we're down 61.68. That's where we weren't conservative enough in projecting how far we were going to fall. I don't even think that was a model we could have chosen. And then looking forward to 19-20 and comparing it with 17-18, because that's the final full year count, we're down about 82.75. So we're down, and then we're going to use that decreased FTE to build our 19-20 budget. What Morgan and I don't know is if we're going to stabilize at this reduction or if we're going to reduce further. I don't know if you have anything to add on FTE.
Well, we're in survey 3, and just in terms of enrollment, we're down 56 from October to February. So we're continuing a little bit of decline.
How do we track these kids on where they're going?
Yes, yeah, I mean, every time a kid withdraws, we have to know where they're withdrawing to. So whether it's to a private school, whether it's to another school outside of the district, whether it's a home school, but yes, you cannot withdraw any kid without knowing where they're going to.
Could you break down on the categories and just share that?
Yes, I can. I can tell you roughly where a good portion of it's homeschool, another good portion of it is students moving out of district schools to other surrounding districts.
Okay.
And speaking with the data clerks, a lot have said that we have students moving to, in particular, Ocala for jobs.
So can I ask, and it may relate like that one, it's still forecasting some, but on our financial condition ratio, where will that put us?
I have that for you at the very end, but we are still on target. You'll see in your financial records I put out, I think at 7.7. But the story is told how we're maintaining that 7.7, what's leading to that fund balance or what's not leading to that fund balance. But our financial condition ratio looks pretty good right now, but next year we will be building a budget on quite reduced funding. Okay, so let's just quickly review our general fund revenues and expenditures. This is half year, so it's through January 31st of this year, and then where we ended in 17-18. What's in your packet is just an overview of the revenue, and I'll go into a little more detail with each one, but what you see here is what we've collected year to date. You see what we've budgeted to collect, and then what we have not collected. It all looks pretty good and tells me we're on target with our budget. We've collected a little over 60%, and we have a little under 40 left to collect for the year. And when you compare the change in 18-19 budget with the actual for 17-18, our revenues are saying they're up a little less than 1%. But you see that's mostly coming from that top line, which is an increase in Medicaid. Everything else you see, we have a decrease in state sources and a decrease in local sources. But I do modify this budget. Every board meeting you get budget amendments, so we do keep up with reducing the budget, so it's down from where we started. So just to go into a little more detail, this category accounts for less than 1% of our revenue budget. These are our federal flow-through sources. As you can see, the Medicaid is up. That's in part to that Senate Bill 7026, the medical allocation. We are doing a better job at Medicaid collection and maximizing third-party funding. Does anybody have any questions about these? All right, our state sources, that is our largest revenue category at 73% of our budget. You can see we're down when you compare 17-18 to 18-19, 0.28%. We have 40% left to collect in this category, and the FEFP line already shows the reduction that I was talking about earlier. We've already done the budget amendment that reduced that budget there, and we reduced it by close to $250,000.
I know this would be a small portion, so, but when we have to give capital dollars or other dollars local to our two charter schools, that's based on 100% collection rate. However, I know that through our local dollars, we don't receive a 100% collection rate. So we're paying on a rate that's higher than we're taking in.
Possibly, but you can't untangle those combined dollars. The way it works is DOE gives us a revenue worksheet for the charter schools. They take into account our full FEFP, and I have to pay the charter schools then based on what that revenue worksheet says. So it doesn't allow us.
I realize what you're saying is that's what we're having to do. I'm just stating that, once again, this is a situation where one hand is being tied behind our back, and we're paying at a higher rate to those schools than what we're bringing in. So it's a decrease to our schools, our local Lee County traditional public schools.
So you're absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any other questions about the state sources? Can we run the local? So these are our local sources. That reflects about 23% of the budget, and this is what Mr. Cowart was talking about, where we collect in the first line of our district school tax, which would be our RLE and our discretionary, not our capital, not our 1.5 mil, is not reflected in this. Those are capital dollars. It's important to note the district school tax, what I have recorded here saying that we have collected 62%. I reran those numbers because I felt they were a little low. And as of February 21st, we've collected another 1.6. So we only have 20% left uncollected in our district school tax, which was good. Does anybody have any questions about these? These are our transfer sources. This is where we transfer funds to service payments, or we pull in capital dollars to cover maintenance that comes out of the general fund. And this is less than 3% of our revenue. This is where you'll see our property casualty, the PICO for the charter schools flow through here. And then, of course, the maintenance, renovation, and repairs. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Let's talk a little bit about expenditures. I've given you a total expenditures in your handout. Overall, we're down about 123% when compared to last year in total expenditures, but let's just look a little bit closer at each category. Salaries, this accounts for 58.25% of our total expenditures. So you'll see we're down in, we have down almost $360,000 in classroom teachers, and other support, we're down another $16,000. These are due to vacancies. Some that we have filled that's created lapse time, and then some that we're still trying to fill. bottom, the substitutes, I want to point out, this only reflects the cost for long-term substitutes with teaching certifications. You'll see in a minute that our sub costs are far higher than that. Does anybody have any questions about these salaries? The other certified, I'll just point out that that is an increase due to the mental health allocation and a position that we hired. And that's being funded by the mental health category. So I ran some numbers because we always talk about how project numbers matter, the pot of money matters. Just so you know, 82% of the salary budget comes from those flexible funds, not capital funds. Benefits, we are down in group insurance and FICA because of the vacancies, but up in retirement because there was another FRS increase. Purchase services. We are up a little bit here, but those are due to the increase in those categorical allocations. We have the SROs running through this particular budget line. This is also where you'll see the charter school FEFP run through here. And the funny thing is, for the forecast, we forecasted down, but charter schools had a higher FTE than what we forecasted. We had a lower, so actually we're paying more to the charter schools. So they actually got a bump, we got a decrease. And it flows through about a little over 1.5 million flows through us to the two charter schools. Does anybody have any questions? Energy, it's up a little bit. I tried to call Mr. Masters to see if maybe diesel fuel was more expensive. I don't know, but that's where we have a little bump there. Materials and supplies. The increase in the supplies category is mostly due to the increase in the classroom supply allocation that's passed on to our teachers and teacher lead funding. We got about an additional $25,000 from the state that came to us that we passed on to our teachers. Capital outlay, this is capital outlay that flows through the general fund budget. These numbers are a little skewed because last year, 17-18, is where the expenditures set for the Cedar Key AC, the gym AC. So that's kind of skewed those variances. Does anybody have any questions on that? And finally, other expenditures. This is where you see the majority of our sub costs. So when you see, we increased the rate of pay for the subs and we had increased vacancies, so our sub costs are a little bit higher this year. When you combine those with the certified subs, we're looking at around $300,000 that we spent today. Okay, so right now we are projecting a deficit, so that's just the difference between the revenues coming in, the expenditures going out, about $122,000. That will reduce our fund balance. Once we, even with that reduced fund balance and then removing the restricted funds, we're still sitting at a little over 7.5% for financial condition ratio. Once we remove 5% out that we have to maintain and then factor in our assigned, it looks like we're around 280%, which is not a lot when you consider that's how we'll answer underfunded and unfunded mandates, health insurance increases, and those types of things. Again, those are just estimates. We won't know our financial condition ratio until we close out, which is usually end of July, mid-August, and we won't know the impact of health insurance until October.
Dollar per dollar and all for dollar too.
Correct. Does anybody have any questions? I'll let you back really quick.
It looks like it usually presented at 15 minutes, that's a lot of support for work.
Thank you very much.
You're not leaving us.
I'm not.
You're going to stay right there.
I am.
We're rolling out of the MOU between LCA and school.
Okay, so we discovered when we negotiated with the union, we did a 10% increase in supplements. So that increases higher education supplements, master's, specialty, doctorate. And unintended, it did not impact our grandfather teachers. Their supplements for higher education, they're not supplements, they're built into their base pay. When we had to reflect the differential pay, right, at the same time we had to create performance pay, those who are on the performance pay schedule have a differentiated pay, so they have a supplement for their higher education. Our grandfather still built into their base salary. So when we increased the 10% supplements, it didn't increase them. It was noted on everything that was signed by us and signed by the union that it wouldn't impact the grandfather. It just got overlooked. When we noticed that, we talked to the union and we came up with this MOU to make the grandfather teachers whole, pay them the same supplemental for higher education as we do the performance pay, and start that April 1st of this year, and then of course moving forward. Total annual cost to us is about $15,000. There's about 50 impacted teachers who are on term, grandfather teachers. And we would like your permission to start this with their April 1st paycheck. The union voted yesterday. I don't know the results of that, but we would like to move forward so we can meet our deadline.
So the recommendation is the memorandum of understanding.
Correct.
Move adoption, presented by staff.
Second, with the staff recommendation, memorandum of understanding. LCA and the school board, is there any discussion?
I just like to thank staff for catching this, so being on top of it, so looking out for our teachers and staff, so I appreciate that.
Any further discussion?
Why isn't it retroactive?
It's not, it's retroactive when there is an error on the school board's part. The union did not negotiate this, so it wasn't an error on our part. So we are not mandated to go back a year when that happens.
Would it be a good faith gesture to offer that to the teachers who were slighted?
I think that's what we're doing right here, is a good faith gesture.
We found, the staff found this error that should have been negotiated in the contract on behalf of the union, and we came forward with it and said, we would like, they should be included in the situation.
True, but why don't you go back and pay them the back pay from September?
From September.
I mean, didn't it start with the 2018-19 school year?
So you mean August?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
That would be a good faith gesture.
The good faith gesture, I think, is also what we're trying to say is we just came forward when the union could have negotiated that,
Right.
and they did not, and we came forward and said, we think this is fair and those teachers should be included. So,
And that's true.
right, so,
Just more good faith, I guess is what I'm saying. It would just be a lovely thing for people who have very limited incomes anyway.
any further discussion?
No.
We'll now proceed, but all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. White. Okay, Mr. Superintendent, you said you want to do a short update on the
Yes.
textbook adoption.
Mark Rivers is actually a meeting right now, talking about that textbook adoption, and all. It's just, as you know, this, as you've been updated throughout the year on the math textbook adoption process, required by statute, that there has been a change through executive order to go away from the current math standards. And so the textbook adoption has been postponed. And the state has since issued a new textbook adoption process. And normally your textbooks are adopted every 5 years. So I think they pushed back the next year is technical education or what is it on?
Yeah, career intensive education and also
Yeah, for next year. And I think they put math back in 2 more years. And as you know, there's a DOE website where they're getting deeper into what you don't like about the standards. So anyhow, she's going to bring this back to you. We are being inundated by publishers, I can tell you right now, wanting us to purchase supplementary materials. So I promise you our legislators are being inundated by publishers as well. So when she comes back with information, we'll bring this back to you. Any questions for myself or the team?
I just want to make sure that we share out to our teachers. I think there's like a portal where they can.
I'll email that to all staff and her.
So on timeline, to make sure going into the next year, we have our curriculum in place, when is the hard date that we have to make that decision?
For the math? Well, we don't even know what it is right now. And that's the hard thing. What concerns me is that there's so much high stakes with the standard, because it not only involves teacher salaries, it involves teacher evaluations, it involves graduations, whether or not you get a high school diploma. And there's so much of this that has to be vetted. And the vetting process is not a short and thing. It's not, it's not something to be taken lightly. Because you need to make sure that the questions that you're asking answer what you're trying to get. And so they're truly good questions and you're not getting false positives or false negatives whenever you have a question. So the vetting process is very, very important, but there's a lot at stake here. And so it's very important to go through the process.
And nothing's set in stone that anything, it may be changed, it may not be changed, because it's just an evaluation is what, and it's through next January, is that correct, that he's tasked, the governor's tasked, the education commissioner?
So but I have sent that link out to all staff.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
So the math book adoption, if we did that generally in history, how long do we use that curriculum?
Every textbook cycle is 5 years.
So if the math, I can't remember what that cost of that would be for this.
It's over 500.
Yeah, so it's an excess of math and ELA, English language arts, are the two big ones. And we were looking at, we normally get around $340,000 in textbook allocation. But those textbooks for those particular subject areas are in excess of $500,000. So therefore, you have to, in years where your revenue exceeds your expenditures, you need to save up for some of these things.
I guess the reason for the delay is if we ever adopt and then the standards change, then we're right back at the table purchasing the next curriculum.
But the thing is, you have a curriculum that might not be relevant to the standards of where the kids are not going to, and the staff will be held accountable. So,
any other questions about the textbook adoption? We'll move to item I. Ms. Julie. The U.S. Challenge, School Challenge, Smarter Lunchrooms. Ours is so smart, we don't have to have anybody there.
Yes. Well,
Just be honest, like they're having McDonald's now, they just.
there's no mess up.
Hey, and they're at Spurgeon's to do it too.
Good morning. While this is loading, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. I found out this morning that many of my team members here have never been to a board meeting. And many of them are new, and we have Ms. Clemenzi that's also new, so I just wanted to do a quick introduction. Ms. Clemenzi represents Yankee Town. Sorry.
Everyone, all schools.
All of them, okay, yes. Then, Mr. Cowart is Cedar Key. Ms. Brookins is Chiefland. Mr. Etheridge is Williston. And it's so quiet in here today. Because Mr. Asbell's not here from... And it's such a shame because he always gives me a hard time about bringing samples. So I just had it on good word that delivered right outside that door are some warm cinnamon rolls that everybody is welcome to as you leave. And they were baked by Bronson Middle High School. Like I said, just delivered because...
He was really fast. He said,
I'm here today to let you in on the Healthier U.S. School Challenge Smarter Lunchroom. It was a challenge presented to us, and I'm very, very proud of the team and what they have accomplished. This was first introduced by Michelle Obama in 2010 as part of the Let's Move campaign in an effort to raise a healthier generation of children. What is HUSSC? There's many ways to say that, so I have to be very careful. It is the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, and it's about creating smarter lunchrooms. It is voluntary, and we recognize schools that are enrolled in team nutrition, but they have created healthier school environments through promotion of nutrition and physical activity. Part of it was putting up Smart Snack signage. I have some photos in between here that are of schools that have posted things on the wall in the cafeterias or in the kitchens for the students and staff to review. We also did menus in many of our schools. Well, all of our schools have menus, but also helping the kids on how to choose the items that are most important, what are required by the state, which is a fruit or a vegetable that every student must take, fruit and or vegetable. Putting signage on the walls. In this particular photo, there is actually signage. You can see there's 3 of them there, I believe. Oranges, tomatoes, and something else I can't see right now, sorry. But it actually gives where those crops, what? Strawberries. So it actually gives information to the students on where strawberries are grown, what part of the state, if they're grown in Florida or other parts of the country. But it tells them when what do you call that, Mr. The timeline of when they're actually
Seasons.
Thank you. Okay.
I live in seasons.
Okay. So it tells them when those are available. The Smarter Lunchrooms principles and practices, they're very easy to implement. Each one of our cafeterias were given a list afterwards, but during and afterwards, they were given a list. There's over 100 items that they can go through and choose to make their lunchroom smarter. It's a back and front page, a scorecard they call it, in order to go through and see what they can accomplish. This is Cedar Key, I don't know why I keep messing it up. Cedar Key School. This was some of the photos that were taken as we went around. This actually happened last year at this time. We went around and took these photos. It was a surprise to the girls when we did show up. So they were kind of caught off guard, but they are always prepared and ready. So these were some of the photos that they took. Some of the things that we looked at was like white milk having more white milk over chocolate milk, so they made smarter choices, healthier choices. They were catching students as they came through the line to see what they actually took. So there was vegetables on the tray, there was fruit on the tray, there was milk on the tray. They were actually making smarter choices. And then actually when we put up fruit, putting a sign there that actually says that it is fruit, it is vegetable, it is a grain, teaching the students what each one means.
Was that Cedar Key man?
Who was that? That would be Nancy Pelham.
Is she out there?
The Smarter Lunchroom's core values are low and no cost solutions, lunchroom environment focus, promotions of healthful eating behaviors, and sustainability. And here is Joyce Village Elementary. Again, going through, you'll see different signs, different foods that are offered to them. This did take a process of 3 days as we went to different schools. But once again, putting on the right, you'll see where there's vegetables, so there's a sign saying that it's vegetables, so students learn what is what in the food world. The 6 Smarter Lunchroom principles aim to manage portion sizes. As you can see in the previous picture and the ones that are coming up, you'll see that these are in a cup and they're measured in most likely half-cup portions. Some are quarter, but most of them are half-cup portions. Increasing convenience, and there again in the previous picture you saw where the things are already bagged. so they're easy to pick up. Improving visibility, which is putting those pops of color out there, whether it's in a poster or in the food itself. Enhancing taste expectations, using suggestive selling, and smart pricing strategies, which is great for us because everything's free. And once again, if you look at the middle picture, that would be our salads. They're in individual containers, and they pop with color. Salad to the right, same thing. That's an already prepared salad that's easy to pick up. This is popular also not only with students, but with our adults as well. The results from the Smarter Lunchroom movement strategy across the country is that when you move and highlight fruit, it increases sales. When you actually put a name to the vegetable, it helped increase the selection for the students. Introducing healthy choices only, which is something we implemented this year in our high schools, where their vegetables and their fruits are all fresh. There's no frozen, no canned, it's completely fresh. Placing flavored milk, such as the chocolate and strawberry, behind the unflavored milk has increased the unflavored milk sales. And here we are from the Bronson Elementary School. Same thing, you'll see pictures up there. The manager there, Maggie, actually made those butterflies in the center picture and put the vegetables, the veggie sign above it, through it. It helps bring that attention for the students. One of the other initiatives is posting the artwork from the students actually in the cafeteria. And this was one of the shots. I've seen it in many, but this is one of the shots they captured in this particular one. So the students are proud of what they do also. To date, awards have been given to schools in 50 states or the District and the District of Columbia. I took out my other slide. This is Chiefland Elementary, and same thing you'll see on the left. You'll see the menu. It actually displays in the colors for proteins, grains, milk, vegetables, and fruit. So students actually can connect the two, that most vegetables are green, fruits are red, but it actually categorizes them so it's easy for them to understand which is which, especially when they get to the line, because if you look above, you see fruit in red. So when they get there, they know the things that were red on the menu, when they get to the line, those would be things under the red label. Levy County, which is why I'm here today, is proud because we have added 6 schools to the list of silver winners across the United States. Those would be Brunson, Chiefland, Joyce Bullock, and Williston Elementary, along with Cedar Key and Lucatown. Yes.
So on the plate in the middle,
Yes.
where it's fruit, grains, vegetables, wouldn't that purple you normally say meat, not protein?
There are,
I mean, when you change the food pyramid,
well, not in your world, Mr. Etheridge, but there's something called a meat alternative. And that would be beans or cheese, eggs,
I know, but
peanut
isn't
butter.
it based on, I know it's kind of like a joke, but isn't it still based off the food pyramid that we
Yes, it
established in
is.
this country?
That
It
is.
still has a meat, it's not listed as protein, it's still listed as meat. I just wondered if, were we,
Yes,
because,
but there's just so more alternatives, and a lot of those alternatives are used.
I think the way it's listed is meat alternatives.
But they took it off this pyramid, I understand what you're saying.
because that is still the nutritional guidelines in the United States of America, is the food pyramid.
That is correct. It's very hard to explain to a man that raises cows. But yes, sir, you are correct, because it is that pyramid for meat. But in our society now, they are leaning more toward alternatives to meat. It's amazing how many things I get using meat. We haven't moved that way in Levy County. We haven't tried to.
And also I noticed it's mainly the elementary schools and it's not the high schools.
What is that?
the awards, it was not in the
Yes, and I was
last
gonna touch base on that.
one. Right.
I'm gonna touch on that just a moment.
Okay.
Schools are awarded monetary incentives based on their award level. We were the silver award, which, as you can see, is the $1,000 mark. There's also the gold award distinction at $2,000.
So what we gotta do to get to the gold distinction?
They're working on it. They're already going at it. This, Nancy,
Let's talk. Have your people give money.
These awards could not have been made possible. I had the assistance not only of my team out here, but also the Healthy Schools Challenge Specialist from the Florida Department of Agriculture, Ms. Rachel Tarrin. She was here a couple months ago when we were presented the other award, and also Ms. Judy Dampier from UF. She was also here a couple months ago when we received another award. But they were great at putting the assessment together and actually taking us around and helping us put it together. And that also included my team, Natalie. She worked with them in getting the pictures and all the information to her to make sure she could put it together. Are there any other questions? And I want to answer Ms. Brookins' question about high school. The main goal, the high schools actually are ready and prepared to earn this award, but their main focus when the state came down and spoke with us was getting elementary schools in. It was the main, at that time, the governor was really pushing to get 100% in the state of Florida for elementary schools, so that's where the goal and focus stayed. Unfortunately, Mr. Howard, this was the last year for this incentive to be awarded. So I'm sure they'll come out with something different. They always seem to want to keep us going. But for this particular award, this is the last year. So I'm very glad that we were able to get the schools that we did in there. But my high schools, they're ready. I was disappointed because we couldn't, because I knew they had the options. Along with the award that they're going to receive today, there's also, it's not here yet, but they're going to receive a plaque, and this is for each school. They get a plaque, they'll get a banner to hang in their lunchrooms. Their recognition is already on the website for Teen Nutrition School, and then also we will be sent $1,000 per school. So at this time, if you have no questions, I'm just going to call them up. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Good.
I want to make sure you introduced them, so I was going to.
Yes.
All right.
And actually, some of these high schools are going to be included. I have Williston Elementary, so Billy Keene. I have Jody Caldwell from Joyce Bullock Elementary. I have Mercy Bingaman from Chiefland Elementary.
Congratulations to Marcy, our new manager. She did not.
And with that, because at this time when this was taken, it was Ms. Brenda Rolfe, who was the manager, who has now moved over to the Chiefland Elementary School. You can come on up. She is a dynamic duo here.
But you had the bus doll.
You have to show
We
that.
We're used to that.
I have Bronson Elementary School, Miss Maggie Algerin Fabrice. Miss Nancy Pelham from Cedar Key. Thank you, Miss Nancy. And I have Miss Deborah Carter from Yankee Town School, which also another duo. At the time of this, that this was awarded, Miss Mary Ann Cedar was the manager, so I'm going to bring her up. She is now assistant in the main office. And Miss Debbie is interim manager at this time at Town School. That is it for their work, and I'm going to bring up the other one. I'll go to that and we'll Miss Natalie needs to come up too. She was, and Natalie actually, that was in her first year as she was going around learning all this. This is part of Mary Ann and Natalie's job duties now. It's actually, because they're with training and development, it's actually taking these ideas and going around to each one of the schools to make sure that they are implemented and they grow. So when they do come out with another challenge, we can get more money. I mean, be better. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Great job. And we do have, I would like to say, I'd like to commend because they did a great job. Miss Catherine Manuel from Bronson Middle High School. I have Darlene Falk from Williston Middle High School. And somewhere I have, I have to introduce Brenda because she's new at Chiefland Middle High School. The three of you can stand up because you deserve it too. And then I also want to make note that I have Miss Bonnie for us. She is from Nature Coast Middle School. She actually went into a jumpstart hurry at the beginning of January. And we put her in, she did not get the award, but I put her and helped her become everything that you saw in those pictures. She has all of her signs, labels, everything is very good there.
So they have, Nature Coast has they have a cafeteria over there that you cook in?
No.
No.
Actually, Chiefland Elementary cooks the food.
Okay.
And then Miss Bonnie picks it up in the morning and transports it over and comes back for lunch and transports lunch over there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sue. Since I started cooking for Gala every year, Miss Julie and I get to visit, and I had no idea there was so much politics in our food. There's a lot of politics in our food.
They bring their own salt.
You can't have ketchup because of that sugar.
How cool if they gave you those awards? You know, there you go. Get that passed.
Last year, I went and spoke with Mr. Brad's class. It was juniors and seniors. And I asked, I said, okay, you got a magic wand, what's one thing? So he said, can we use some ketchup? So then I went to Miss Nancy and I asked if I went and bought a case of ketchup or if I just snuck it in. So she said, no, you can't do that. So I felt like I was doing something illegal, so I could it was ketchup, you know.
Thank you all for what you do. Thank you. Item J,
They need to get.
y'all need to.
No, we're good.
We're good, okay. All right, go free then. We'll move to item J, which is the Wilson High School property contract. Mr. Superintendent.
Yeah, and you have with you, we've talked about this at the, talked to each of you and Mr. Wyatt, and I'll go ahead and bring this to you. But I think we're at the end of the road.
First, I would like to say that when I went to Wilson High School, Apple Brown Betty was on the food. Crunchy. So, if y'all remember, the last go-round that we had was we went back to Blue Rock and we said, we'll take 1.5, close with the timeline that you proposed, or we'll take 1.35 in 45 days. So their most recent counteroffer to that came about after they did their asbestos testing at the high school. That was one of the things that increased their cost, I believe. The other thing was the letter of intent from the high-end grocery store. They reduced their store size, their square footage, excuse me, from 45,000 to 28,000. So whether that actually happens or not, there's no way for me to know that. I have to take these fellows on their word, but that reduces the rate of return on their investments in commercial speaking. Everything's based on the rentals of these big developments. So they have come back with 1.25 and they will close in 10 days with no contingencies. They have plenty of time to do the research, so they know what they're buying. They know the economic outlook for our community. Taking that all into consideration, they do want to move forward. At a little bit lesser cost, but we don't have to wait for people to do anything else.
10 days after the signing of this contract.
As us signing and them signing. Now, we did want to, what Jeff just had some concerns because if we're going to do this, we did want to retain the right to go in and salvage some items from the high school. Well, we can't do that in 10 days. So we've asked Mr. Delaney, he and Ms. Hudson added a clause in there that gave us the right to salvage after closing some items. Maybe the middle of the gym floor or desks, chairs, anything that's there.
Time capsule.
The time capsules, if we can find them all, I don't even know. I think the alumni's got a meeting planned tonight. Pretty much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any comments, discussion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this.
I second it. I second it.
So it's been moved and seconded that we accept the proposal. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. Ms. Cookie, you sent me figures on what property taxes on something comparable, so obviously it's the other indexing. And that's their capital outlay dollars. So, and knowing that this is where this will go, correct, Ms. Lake? Because this goes back in capital outlay dollars and it's
Correct.
set in stone on what we can spend that, so. I know I need the motion, so, but,
Excuse me, Chris, for a lot of people, when you're looking at your tax bill, most people don't understand millage and what that means, because we don't go to the meetings about budgets and everything, but those are all broken down. You may pay 21 or 22 in town and 18 in the county, depending. But if you open your tax bill and look at that all broken down, a good portion goes to our schools, and it's broken down 3 ways. It's broken down state, basic, and what was the other one? Local. And those all have their own millage rates, and you can take the assessed value of a property and kind of figure out how much of your dollars, or in this case, Blue Rock Development's dollars at this big development is going to bring our schools. So we're kind of forecasting using the Winn-Dixie model.
So looking at that, our 1.5 mils capital dollars is only about $37 million a year. So
Based on an assessed
Based on
value
the-
of $2,466,000, which is what Winn-Dixie, we're just using that as a line.
So knowing a school bus is about what, Mr. Masters?
$105,000.
$105,000. So that's a school bus that we're not able to purchase. So we've lost that amount of revenue. Why is it advantageous for us to close in 10 days? I'm just curious on what this push is, why what we want to be our deadline, but
I think from my perspective as a broker and knowing real estate, the less time people can think about it, the more likely you're going to get.
And plus, there was an expense that is, we have to maintain that property, and we have to maintain property value and insurance on that property. So there is an expense that we continue to do.
And just the general liability or something.
How would you lose tax money? How would you lose tax money? Gain tax money?
I'm sorry, so, but I'm saying that from 1.35 to going with 1.25 is a reduction of $100,000, which is roughly a school bus. So to recover that $100,000, which we're giving up, at $3,700, it's going to take you 27 years to make that up. So
You're going to have an increase in the valuation of the property once it's constructed, so that's...
But and right, that's what I just based that off of. So, I mean, but that's not capital dollars, which is what this is, and where this is going back to. So, and I wholeheartedly, and that's why I've kind of been the one, I feel like, you know, so, it wouldn't be the first time I was called it, but I feel like I'm the mule, so that's being drugged down here saying, you know, I feel like we're selling ourselves short a little bit. So, and I know I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I made the motion for discussion purposes, so.
And we would hope that this building will eventually be worth substantially more than that.
And I guess that's the thing that I'm just putting this out there for us to think about because of how important a decision. We don't do this every day. So, and I realize what the value long-term can be to having something there, you know, a high-end grocery store, whatever it may be, the value that they bring. So, but I'm also asking us to just consider on whether this is the figure that we want to settle for.
To me, it's a game that we have, sorry.
Go ahead, Douglas.
To me, it's a game that we're playing their game, and my fear is a year from now, this property still sits, just like the old food ranch sits, going toward Gainesville. They're gonna offer us $750,000, and we're gonna have to take it because we haven't had an offer in a year. It's just our small town we live in. When you look at the big picture and you see our attendance dropping because children are going to Marion County for job opportunities, this is bringing something to our community. You just have to look at the big picture. Can we put after a 10-day a penalty for each day they're late? Can they close in 10 days? Can we attach that?
Well, our dilemma is can we close in 10 days?
Right.
And we verified that we can't. I think they're the one that proposed the 10 days.
I wholeheartedly agree, looking at the 10,000, you know, and I agree that, you know, I feel like we're playing poker, and I've said that all along, so, on this, so, and don't want to lose the opportunity for 1.25, and maybe I'm being a little short-sighted in saying that I feel, you know, we started this process, we did, what was our first?
2.4.
Well, no, what was our first contract?
Oh, it was 1.5.
1.5 minus the
fees.
Minus the fees.
Then it went up, and they offered.
And then we drug for 270 days, and then they let it go, and then we raised it to 1.75, and they agreed to that, and then they come back.
They actually raised it to 1.7.
Right. So.
And then they backed off of that. So yeah.
So it has been a game back and forth. I don't know if it's a sale.
Absolutely. I think I've looked at it a lot of ways, but to me, first off, I won't pretend, or I don't know where we find a property to base the value in a comparison. I've struggled and tried to look to say, because I don't know within $100,000 what it's worth. I don't know. But I do know, coming from that community, what's put there could change our center of town focus. It could change our FTE or FEFP. We pick up 10 students, it's $52,000 or $3,000. So if the tenant that coming is what it is, and it adds that to our community. I'm not smart enough to know within $100,000 what the value of it is over the next 40 years.
Understand.
So, but I do know this, bird hands work through the bush. If we got somebody ready to buy it, and we don't know within $100,000, I think it's time to pull it. But I'm the chairman, I'm not voting unless y'all toss.
I don't believe we have that today.
Okay.
Unless you have a conflict.
And I wholeheartedly, I just feel like in doing my due diligence, I had to put that out there, that it's, you know, and I wholeheartedly, I don't want to lose the deal. by
I
any
think you're
means.
saying exactly what we all feel.
Right, so, and I know that, you know, so, but I agree that I'd like what Ms. Clemency, and so I'd be amenable, since I made the motion, if she'd like to amend it to add penalties or whatever, so.
It's getting close to 10 minutes.
We checked on the title. We can't, can we sign this or can we not? And, just to correct, Del Salter are now back to Salter. They're the ones that did the title work. But, Levy Abstract is gonna handle the closing, the actual closing.
Appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Don't come back.
I'm not coming back.
Ms. Cookie, thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Chris,
Worked hard. And I would like to say that because Ms. Cookie is a local person and Levy Abstract title, local company. It's good that we can use our local people to do our business.
That's right, I agree.
Okay. Item K was our minutes from the February 12th meeting. Is there any corrections to the minutes?
Move approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded approval of the February 12th board meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll move to item L, the consent agenda. We start on this end, Ms. Brooks. Do you have any questions?
Yes, on our budget, so in reading and everything, I like it, you know, when we have our line items and everything's explained, but when we just have that account name, and then we go over, you know, I'm a little lost on that, and I think we used to have a book here, we had that, but was there a reason that we're just putting that account on there rather than what it is? Now, I think it was the amendment, consider budget.
Are you talking about the budget amendment?
Uh-huh.
And I'm
I think we just put, it just says like account number, and then date and the amount.
Yes.
I'm not able.
It's not saying what project it is.
Right, and I'm not following what's
Okay.
happening with just the account number.
Okay, so I'll get a project listing back up there for you all where you can go down and see exactly what project that's pertaining to.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And then, let's see, the wireless contract at Wilson Middle High School schools. We didn't have a wireless.
Well, yes and no. What happened is this is especially on the middle school side over there, when they installed those drops in the very beginning, when we were doing a school, we got a quote of $30,000 to do some work, and we couldn't do it, so we had to come back, especially on the middle school side. There were some issues with the Wi-Fi, and because we didn't run the lines and do the drops, at the time to drop the Wi-Fi, which are the little round things that you see around, like, for example, right here, they were put down on the floor like teachers at struggle. And so they were connectivity issues. And so what we've done is we've contracted with this company here, and they're going to be able to do it for half the cost of what our original quote was. But they've got to get up in the attic and I call it the mezzanine, and pull some fiber, but they're going to install these things up to the thing so that we have a broader coverage of the Wi-Fi area so our students can have access. It's imperative that we get this stuff done for testing because so much stuff is done on computer-based testing.
But that's not not like in a contract when we build the school and put in there?
In this time, it was because of trying to save some money, it was not, it was something about line items.
But we'll put it in chief and high school.
We're both, so,
And let's see, the,
ended up costing, we ended up saving $15,000.
oh, that's good, that's wonderful.
So,
Let's see.
and they've actually been coming in at nights and working because they have to get the little machine that raises you up there in the air and do this. So we do this at night.
Yeah, that's great. Good. This other contract, the addition, the ECT, AC, is that something new? Contracts on the additional,
Again, this is just, it's something to Title I and I think that we have to address it. So we have to, we just need to do.
but it's something, it's a new contract, something new.
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
I think that's all I have.
Does that have anything to do with like the new federal report card?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So not only now we have state, but we also have federal. So we kind of discussed that a little bit at that meeting, so. And it's just, so we're probably doing like we do with Seminole County, where we contract with them, run our equity through their process. Only thing I had, so always good to see, I noticed on here, since Mr. Haswell's not here, so always great to see on number 6, a former student come back and be employed within the district at the school that they attended, so sure appreciate Ms. Manali coming back, so I know she'll do a great job. So Ms. Perkins, are you sure you have one more that you maybe want to talk about there? That's right, about 5.
Oh, yes. We were at Chief one yesterday, and so I did talk to the principal about that. But the new football coach, and he'll be the dean, and I'm starting March 11th, and I think everybody's excited and proud. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Good to have him come back into the district. So, only other thing I'll see there, so not to steal Mr. Etheridge's thunder, but A1, so that's a good, I hear good things coming out of her from Fayette County, and know that her daughter's doing a great job down in Yankeetown. So, it's, I think if they realize her, those good teacher down there. So, but appreciate everything, all of the questions that have been answered. So.
I have one quick question. The Meridian Behavioral Health Care, do you have an agreement with anyone else? Is it the first year or?
Yeah, we've always had agreements with Meridian for services throughout. There's also, and I can't remember if it's like 1 year or 2 ago, there's another service that we've contracted with. That was about 2 years ago. That was the alcohol use.
Village Counseling out of Waterway County is the other contract that came before you probably 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Any other comment? I entertain a motion for consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Consent agenda passes. Rolling item E, superintendent's comments and recommendations.
Just a couple of things. First off, go back and echo what Mr. Calvin said about Ms. Bailey Walker. She was truly a servant to many people, not just in Chief and the community, we have a heart for many, many years. And she's, people like that, truly one of the best. She's not a great servant. John Lott actually is the one responsible for this one, but you talked to, you shared your concern about being able to do some distance learning. And so John was doing some work, and we actually got a call from a group that does a federal grant. And so I'm going to do that.
You guys should have two handouts, and basically that gives you some information about the grant. We have contrary to what my wife says, I do listen sometimes, and so I started really inquiring about some distance learning opportunities and how that can impact our schools. And so on Monday, we have a go-to meeting that's we're going to present to our district instructional team. Basically, the way this works is this is a what they call a RUS grant, and that stands for Rural Utility Service Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grant. So it's a federal grant that comes out of the United States Department of Agriculture, and you can get up to $500,000 per grant recipient a year. And for us, we're looking at possibly, if everything goes well, increase in dual enrollment, some advanced placement opportunities we don't currently have, some of our STEM classes which have certification requirements that it's sometimes difficult for us to fulfill. That could work, to increase our STEM class capability. Our homebound instruction is something that is always an issue, finding a teacher that can provide that education at home for some of these students. We may be able to use it for professional development so that our teachers don't have to move around as much, but can still receive professional development that they need. Some school districts are even using it for mental health counseling because that's an area that's hard for us to find. So, we've reached out to NEFAC to see if perhaps they may want to partner with us, because I feel like if we can get a few partners, at least maybe a couple other districts to join, we would have a better opportunity to get this grant. It is a competitive grant, so we need to look at maybe some partnerships as we look around and hopefully increase that. But I will say this, that in 2018, and these grants are awarded in the fall, so in October of 2018, Putnam County did receive one of these grants by themselves as standalone grant. They received $307,000. Their point of emphasis was STEM-related instruction. So if we follow their examples of their grant, and hopefully we can receive that also. And Ms. Bradson reached out to their superintendent yesterday and got some more information. So it's just sharing information with you. Hopefully we can be successful in obtaining this grant and improving our education.
This don't require us getting a partner with the fact, this don't require us getting a partner with the
Well, the way this works is that we're actually going to partner with a professional grant writer that's going to help us with this, and there'll be a fee that we'll have to pay. Last year, this particular grant writer in this company, they were 80% successful. So we do meet the demographics and the economic criteria for this grant. So, last year 80% of the grants they applied for they did receive. So I feel pretty good about that percentage.
Thank you very much. Thank you. One of the things, we got a few folks out there, and I had out there visiting last night in the Shores class. Any feedback, because hopefully they know. I was in the class with them last week.
Yeah, why don't y'all tell us, stand up and tell us one thing you learned today. Yeah. Come on, we'll put you on the spot. Come on, stand up, you can do it. You're Bronson Eagles.
Well, I learned that anybody's going to remember is when it's no gear money.
Wait, are you talking about,
Or what you learned today, it'll be fine.
today? Okay, that buses cost a lot of money. I didn't think cost that much.
Actually learned quite a lot. Same thing what she said, buses cost a lot. Transportation is always an issue. So I get you guys saying that costs a lot.
Great job, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
But the reason I say this is because I was there in the shooters class all day. I was not at Williston doing job interviews. I know Mr. Gallatin, Ms. Clemency was there, and also Ms. Lake was over there. And I know Ms. Lake came back and she was talking about her experience there. Kim, do you want to share anything?
Well, it's always a good day when you can get out from behind your desk and go see the reason why you get up every morning. And those kids were just so smart, and I don't remember being that well put together at 13 and 14 years old. It was hard for me to wrap my mind around their age as I was talking to all of them, but it was so much fun, and I get to see a little bit of why we do what we do, and I was just really impressed. So she's not in here, but thank you to Carol Jones for giving me that opportunity, and I would love to have many more of those. Finance doesn't seem to get to travel out and see the kids, but it was a lot of fun.
That's it.
Well, thank you. We'll start board comments. We'll start with,
Me?
yes, ma'am.
Just to go on what Kim was saying, a big shout out to Natalie Cooey and Ms. Taylor for putting that day together, because it was a really neat day. I was impressed also. Spring sports are in full effect. I can only talk for Williston, well, I can talk for Bronson also because they beat us last week by 1 run. But, man, I'm getting on Friday. But FFA week is in full effect also. We had an ag breakfast yesterday that kicked off the week in Williston. I think today is 20 Tuesday. I'm not quite sure what that means. I have boys that age, so they don't participate in anything dressing up. But that's it. Big week, FFA week.
All right. I want to double dip, so, and since Mr. Asbell's not here, so thank you to you ladies for being here. So some of you for the second round appearance, so great job. So you've done a wonderful job, so keep up the good work. So lead the Eagles over there, so. To my ladies, it's tough for me not to say the cafeteria ladies, because that's what I knew as all my life, so, but the food service workers, so. I know you know, but you never can say it enough, so how invaluable you all are. Some of you give some of the best hugs that which our students need, so, and you love on them, you provide nutrition for them, and we know that there's a lot of students that the breakfast and lunch that they get from you guys is quite possibly the only meal that they get a day. So I'm heartfelt thankful for you all, and thankful for all the hard work that you put in. So I appreciate you.
To add one thing to that, and it doesn't just stop. I can speak for Miss Jody. During certain seasons, she stays after football season, stays after her given time to stay, to help cook for the football boys, and definitely goes above and beyond.
No doubt, no doubt. I think our employees go above and beyond. So, and I know you ladies are all impacting lives, and I thank you for that. So I will single out, so the one lady back there in the back, so Miss Nancy, so she does go above and beyond. I know she's also our SWAT sponsor on campus, so, and puts a lot of time and effort in that, so, and has a 9th grade young, 8th grade young, 10th grade, oh, that's right, so 10th grade young, and so, along with all of that, so, and then even holds down a second job sometimes, so I don't know how she does all she does, so juggling everything, so appreciate you and appreciate our ladies, so that work so hard. We did have the Bronson FFA Food Fest, so it went off very, very well, and Mr. Asbell is to be commended. I know he held up that quilt last board meeting, so, and I don't want to steal his thunder, so, but I'm going to go ahead and sneak it out and say that with his cooperation and his begging and pleading and twisting arms, so he was able to raise about $4,000, and that goes into scholarships for those senior FFA students at Bronson. So, and Congressman Dunn was gracious enough to match what Mr. Asbell had raised, I believe. So, and that quilt is going to go be up in Washington, D.C. in his office. And after it's there, it's going to come back to Tallahassee to his district office up there. And eventually, when it or if ever he would not win election or retires, it's going to come back to Bronson Middle High School and be there. So just a tip of the cap to them. So we also had the Jimmy Durden dedication, and somebody that put a lot of effort into people's lives, coaching girls softball, both at the Bronson Youth League and at the high school level. So is related to somebody out there. So Ms. Darlene, so what a tribute to somebody that gave a lot of his time and poured a lot of effort into young lady. So it just was a wonderful thing to be able to do in the class of 82. Mr. Watt, thank you to Miss Angie Phillips, all the people, their efforts that went through. What a wonderful day there. So, and I got the sweetest hug from a little boy. So, and just came running up. So that would be Miss Darlene's grandson. So, the last two things. So obviously the agribusiness class, 48 kids getting interviewed across from Whitehurst Cattle Company to Jack Back Distributors. So to all different things, the finance. So. I'm not sure. Pharmaceuticals. I knew it was pharmaceutical, but I didn't know the name of the company. So, but those kids, a great job of looking you in the eye, shaking your hand, and answering tough questions. So, those two ladies are doing a heck of a job. So, and that's why they get the effort and get the results that they do because of the amount of effort that they put in. So, and then the last thing is just a little bit about Tallahassee. The session starts next week. So. And there's not all bad things coming out, so there's this industry certification, Pathways to Graduation, I think is a wonderful thing. Knowing that not every kid is going to go to college, and I feel like I think Mr. Apple may be speaking through me so vicariously, so because I know he's so passionate about this. So, but I think that's a positive thing that our students are going to be able to have a certification that they can go to work, but also it can help them towards their graduation requirements. So I sure appreciate that, and hopefully it'll offset some of the landmines we have now. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Calvin.
Mr. Cowell, was really short there. I did have the opportunity to be on the calendar committee yesterday, and long process, teachers working overtime, late, 6 o'clock, and everybody just some great input and everything. But I did have a question, and you learn some things that are different that are happening in our schools that we don't really know about as school board members. But the progress reports, Mr. Edison, it was like at the school's discretion to issue progress reports, and they don't do it all the same at all the schools?
Well, a lot of them, and it just depends upon the schools and how they are some different things, but nowadays, everybody has access to knowing what grades are at any time. So they do them a little bit differently, but we have Mr. Render have a progress report thing, that is kind of handled individually based upon what.
So it's not just, it's news to me that, I know that even though we do have Skyward and think people can look, but they don't, all parents don't have access to that. But we don't give a progress report. I mean, that was critical with my children. I know in the middle, so you have time to, look and know.
I think they get progress reports, but they do it differently, in different ways. So that's one of the things that supposed to be doing.
All right, yeah, thank you. I just didn't understand that. And then I think,
I do believe it says so in policy.
yeah, I'll let Mr. Etheridge talk about the chief one. Wilson game coming up.
Thank you. I'm just glad we both have a football coach here.
That's right, we do. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so, not to reiterate a lot of that, but actually, I think with Tallahassee last week with Career Children,
Yeah.
and, I mean, that's pretty big. What happened?
He placed fourth in the state.
In the spelling? Oh, okay. Yeah, your dad.
He was concentrating. He was concentrating. Hopefully he'll.
Anyway, I didn't want to miss that because he's good. We had a good student involved in everything in the It's National FFA Week. I know that means a lot to a lot of us, and hopefully good right down to a lot of our students, our kids. Mine's been getting up every morning going and doing something like picking up trash on the side of Phil Block Lane and wait this past weekend. So Thursday night, the Robert Philpott Scholarship baseball game will be played in Wilson. Chiefland against Wilson. So come out and support. I think it's at 6:30. But all that to be done towards a graduating senior scholarships for this coming year.
I believe the games, there's JV and varsity starts. JV starts at 4:30. I believe the varsity starts at 6:30, for the regulation.
Only other thing is it's getting to be fair time, so, spring break, a lot of different activities going up along with sports too, so, a busy time of the year. Part of what makes Levy County, what Levy County schools is the extra things, not necessarily just in the classroom, but the extra things that make it what it is. So, I think that's all I have. We will have an executive session.
Short executive session.
Any other comments, any more items of business? Yes, sir.
Where do you stand on the CMHS, Chino High School meeting with Tallahassee officials on ranking?
I don't know, I just know that we got, as a matter of fact, an email that I received today is that something, we have a gestalting process that we have to go through. Gestalting. Yeah, we're going to see us afterward because it's a long conversation. But anyhow, there's one of the buildings we've been trying to get approval to replace, and we just got that approval today. So anyhow, it's going forward, and don't have a date or anything like that. But I do know there's a survey process. We just got an updated survey from DOE, and so it's working, but I don't have any dates yet.
So what's the timeline? So you're not going to have any type of ranking for this session of the legislature?
The session's got nothing to do with this.
No, I know, but that ranking is going to be in the DOE report that goes to the legislature.
Not this year, no. Yes, sir. But it's not this legislative season that deals with it, it's next legislative season.
2020, we're coming from that.
Right.
Any other? Not entertaining motions to adjourn. No objection, we will pass by general consent and adjourn. Thank you all for coming.